I am here today with April Cannon, co-owner of NaturaLawn of America in Charlotte, North Carolina. Thank you, April, for taking time today to share your experience as a franchise owner.
Sure.
Can you first just share a little bit about your personal life, what you find fun to do outside of work, any personal or business achievements you're most proud of?
Yeah, so I'm a yoga instructor, and so I've been doing yoga for about 21 years, teaching for about 10, and so that really takes up a lot of my time when I'm not in the office. I'm also a nerd, an academic nerd, so I really love anything. Actually, my bachelor's degree is in Middle Eastern studies, so anything that has to do with the Middle East, um, you know, geopolitical stuff, religion, Bible studies, commentaries. I mean, I can literally sit at a table all day with books around me and just get lost.
That is very interesting.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. I've never heard that, and I think that's
As
so
you
cool.
think,
So
I'm weird. I know.
no, hey, what? So were you doing? Was yoga the career you were doing? Like, were you that instructor prior to buying your franchise?
No, I actually was an accountant by trade. I worked for the Addison Airport. It's a third largest third largest general aviation airport in Dallas. And I worked for the founding family, and they had the airport. They also had a vineyard in France and several different little, companies, if you will. And so I was kind of did the books for all of those. I ran the accounts for the airport, leased the hangars and different things. And then I also served as kind of a personal assistant as well. Like when the family would go to France for the wine harvest, and this was years ago, I would have, one of the things I would have to do is record friends on a VCR tape and mail it to them weekly. And that was fun. So it really prepared me for owning my own business, because I knew about payroll taxes and, health insurance and, just the basic ins and outs of running a business, especially when they were gone. I was in charge. And so I really got a lot of good experience from there. I worked there for about 6 years. And then prior to that, I was in property management, apartment industry in Dallas, Texas.
Awesome. So why did you decide that you wanted to leave all of that and invest in a franchise? And then also, natural lawn is very different from aviation and property management. So why did that industry call to you, and specifically natural lawn?
Well, so this was originally my husband's baby. He was an executive VP for a company in Louisville, Texas, and he was in upper management. And every few years, company would get bought out, or for whatever reason, he would be laid off. And this last time, Honeywell bought his company, which triggered his employment contract, and he had, thankfully, a year's notice. So we kind of sat down and, we're like, okay, well, do we want to do this again? Do we want to do something else where we're in charge of our own, future and income and whatnot? And so he's always had a really green thumb. Personally, I can't grow anything, but so he started researching franchises, and he had a year to do that. And so we came across Natural Lawn. He enjoyed working in the yard, had a green thumb, and saw, that they were one of the only companies that used all natural, safe, organic based products, safer for the environment, pets and children. And so he kind of looked into it more. And then we were going to open up a location in Plano, Texas, where we were living at the time. But we went to Discovery Day in Maryland, and we were sitting with Phil Catron, the founder, and John went to the bathroom. And he was like, well, April, what do you think about this endeavor that John's getting ready, to pursue? And I'm like, well, yeah, it's fine with me. I go, the only problem is we're going to be stuck in Texas. And having that, love of the Middle East and, all this, I had always dreamed of being like up in DC or, somewhere close where the action was. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I go, I don't know. I'm born and raised in Texas. I just kind of want to get out. And he goes, well, what do you think about Charlotte? And I think I said, where's that? Because I can tell you anything about Egypt, Syria, Iran, but I can tell you nothing about the United States. So long story short, by the time John got back from the bathroom, Phil looked at him and he goes, guess what? Y'all are moving to Charlotte. And that's kind of how that happened. So that was in May of 2003. And July 3rd of 2003, John, we flew up. Well, no, we drove up here. I got an apartment all in the same weekend. Got an apartment, found office space, hired a person. John flew home to finish out his work. So I stayed up here and ran it for like a month. And then, John was back in Texas selling the house, wrapping things up. And then he came back probably first or mid-August. And we've been here ever since.
So that all happened pretty quickly.
Pretty fast.
Yeah. you got convinced you needed to go to the East Coast, and
everybody thought we were crazy. And, we were in this period where, all of our friends were starting to have children and we didn't have children. And we were just kind of like, there's really nothing holding us here, so we did it.
So, to move that quickly from signing to upping your lives from Texas to North Carolina, was it hard to transition from, normal to being an owner of a franchise company?
For me, it wasn't, because I had all of that experience at the airport. I really give the Stewart family a lot of credit, as well as my former boss, Darlene Reed. They really took a chance on me, and a lot of the accounting stuff that I know today really was just self-taught. I would just, stay in the office and kind of look at what Darlene did and kind of figure it out and go, okay. And then once the airport, there was an agreement that at the end of 1999, the management of the airport would go from the Stewart family back to the town of Addison. It was a deal that was worked out when the airport was built. So at that time, my main job kind of went away. So I stayed on part-time and handled, all of these other little businesses. So I was used to kind of being on my own. I was used to being in charge of different things. I knew the ins and outs financially. So, from a financial standpoint, which is the area that I oversee in our franchise, I kind of already had experience from it, but this was just on a larger scale, and it was a different state. So that was a little, challenging to figure out, because Texas, you don't have state taxes. North Carolina, you do. That's just one example. So it was a little challenging, but it wasn't like, oh my God, what have I done?
Well, since 2003, you guys, obviously you went through the recession, and you've gone through now a pandemic. What have you found to be the biggest challenge or challenges, and how did you overcome those throughout these years?
The great thing about lawn care is that we have found it's recession proof. People, they want to invest in their homes, because at the end of the day, that could be their main investment. So we thankfully were never hurt by 2007 and 8 housing, the pandemic. We've been fortunate enough to actually had our best year in 2020, and I think everybody's sitting at home looking at their grass, calling and going, yeah. I really think that is what happened. But the most challenging thing that we deal with, and we still deal with it, is finding good people to work for us. That is a challenge, and it seems to be getting more of a challenge, because the good people that we hire, we bring them up, but they, they're young, and they generally, this is a fill-in job for them, and then they go on to big and better things. Although we do have a young man now who's been with us for several years, and we are grooming him to go into a more management role. And we also have a wonderful office manager, Christina, who's been here almost 8 years. And thank God for her, because she's the one that allows me, to go play if we're not busy.
Hey, you need that sometimes.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you wish you knew before buying your franchise, before opting into NaturaLawn?
I was 32 when we bought into this, and initially it was just an adventure. Oh, we're going to move out of Texas, and owning a business is a blessing and a curse at the same time. There's a finality about it that you can't just clock out and go home, and now that I'm older and I live in another state, and my parents are getting older, and now my nieces are married and they have children of their own, and I'm way over here, I kind of wish I would have thought that out before I jumped and took off to another state. But having said all of that, I know that this is where we're meant to be. The people I've met, the experiences, the opportunities that I've had, not only in business, but in, other areas. It was the right move.
Good. What for you would you say is like the most important skill that someone would need to be successful in lawn care or in owning a business like yours?
You have to know your business, and you have to know the jobs that are performed in your business. So, if you want to own a lawn care company, you need to know how to push a spreader. You need to know how to calibrate a spreader. You need to know that it's really hard work to aerate a lawn. I've done it. I've tried. That way, to do estimates, to measure lawns, to know what kind of weeds you can identify, because you want to hire good people. And, I think a lot of times when you think of owning your own business, you're like, oh, I'm going to tell everybody what to do, and I'm going to kick my feet up. And it doesn't work that way. Because if you don't know what you're talking about, your employees aren't either. And then they're going to come and try to, they're going to pick up on that energy. And if your business is your business, but you don't know anything about the business other than telling people what you think they should do, it's not going to work. So to me, that is the biggest, and then also, if you have, let's just say your whole staff decides to get up and quit one day. Well, now what are you going to do? If you don't know how to push a spreader, your customers' lawns aren't going to get treated. If somebody sends you a picture of a weed going, what's this? And you're like, well, I don't know. Well, what am I hired you for if you don't know what you're doing? So I think, and that goes with any company, if you're going to have a yoga studio and you're not a yoga teacher, well, you're kind of screwed. What if your teacher calls in sick and you've got a class of 20 people? So it's any business, know your product, know what you're selling, believe in it, know what it takes to get revenue and costs and know what prices to charge and all of those things. It's not just about having a title on your door that says owner.
What would you say ties into that from the training and the support that came from the franchisor, from the corporate team, that sort of ties into that idea of needing to know the business and, be a part of it, own and operate in a sense, that you would find most valuable to help assist with that?
We've got great support. When I first started, I didn't know anything about lawn care. Being from Texas, I didn't know grass was green in the wintertime. I had never heard of fescue. I had never heard of aeration and seeding. And the training that they put us through is very detailed, to the point where you're like, wow, lawn care is really, it's really a science. You really have to be intelligent to kind of know what's going on. So there's constant training. There's constant, like weekly, we get these videos of training and what's going on and the seasons and what to look for. When we first started, we had a new owners training that was about a week, and they've got manuals and they tell us how to set up your office and hands-on support. Even the higher ups, everybody is so approachable and so nice. There's no intimidation. You pick up the phone, you have a stupid question. To them, it's not stupid. They understand. And it's not about, we're all in business to make money, but it's not about money. It's about how can we help you succeed? And I really appreciate that.
No, and we see that from working with them and from asking, your whole franchise community questions, and getting that feedback. We certainly see that in their scores and how you guys relate with them. The brand itself, you've said it's been successful for you. We see that in kind of what comes back from looking at the scores on the survey that they do. But not every franchise owner is a top performer. They don't always do well, right off the bat or as quickly as they might hope. Where do you see, or if you notice when a lower performing franchisee gets off track, and do you have any advice that could help them get back on track to heading in the right direction?
I think it all boils down to numbers. You have to track your stuff. So if you're going to advertise, track your dollars. How much is it costing you to get that sale? When you advertised over here, did it work? If it didn't, don't do it again next year. Try something new. Track your fertilizer and your material usage. If you're teaching your guys to, just be sloppy and spill fertilizer here, and that adds up to maybe, a ton over time. Well, a ton can be, $600-700 worth of product. Well, okay, how much does it cost to put 4 pounds per 1,000 square feet on a 20,000 foot lawn? Well, it's X. Okay, well, you're charging X. You're losing money. You kind of have to know those types of things and track them and keeping clean books and knowing where your money's going and knowing, can I afford, to make this decision, and not just kind of wing it and go, well, it'll work out. It's fertilizer. Come on. It's a business. So that would be my suggestion. And that's one of the things that I love about my husband and why we make such a good team, is because I do the finances. He is very analytical. He tracks everything. he's an Excel guru, and some of the stuff he comes up with is like, oh my God, you're making my head hurt, you know? And I always joke with him, and I'm like, you know what? If something happens to you, I don't know, because I can't do any of that Excel stuff. That just makes my head hurt. But yeah, that is what I would say, is just track your stuff. Know what's going on. Know where your money's going. If something's not working, let's figure out why.
No, I think that's helpful advice for someone probably in any, sector or industry too, to have that down.
Yeah.
And I also think that that's good advice when you're thinking about joining and possibly becoming a part of a franchise brand. Is there any other advice that you would give to someone thinking about investing in a franchise today?
Be prepared to work hard. The thing about owning a business is your future is in your hands. So, John and I have had this franchise for going on 18 years, and we've worked it in a way that was comfortable for us. We've grown every year. We've been very successful, but we've not killed ourselves. And that's how we wanted to do it. There's other franchises, that it's balls to the wall. I'm going to make as much money as I can in so many years. And that's okay too. Know your plan and be prepared to work your plan. If you just are buying yourself a job, okay, know that and be all right with it. If you're buying it for security and retirement and maybe take care of your family when you leave this earth, know that and go, okay, how much am I going to need if I die and they need to sell it? How much is it going to bring in? Am I going to keep the books clean and this, that, and the other? So when it is, taken over, it's going to be easy to manage. But yeah, I mean, you definitely, it all falls to you at the end of the day. So it's like I said earlier, knowing how to do the job yourself. Because if you hire a bunch of people, and you're starting out, you only have 100 customers, but you've got 3 technicians, there's something wrong with that. It's too much money. You can save all that money and go do it yourself until you get a few more 100 customers, and then you go and hire somebody. It's just decisions like that. You just kind of need to go in knowing this is all on you.
Well, thank you for that. You shared so much great information. Was there anything that you feel like we didn't cover that you weren't able to share? Anything else that we should know about NaturaLawn, about your own business?
I think the best thing about owning a business, particularly lawn care, is that, the best thing about owning a business is the security involved. Again, that your success is up to you, but also it's providing for other people. Like I went to our office manager, I went to visit her the other day at her apartment, and it's beautiful. And it's like, oh, wow, well, we provide this job, or we provide this man this job, and he in turn can afford to take his children to this certain school. And it's a very good feeling, and John has to rein me in sometimes, because I'm like, well, let's pay for this. No, we can't do that. It's just, I just want to bless people a lot. And it's just it's a blessing to be able to give others an opportunity to be their best self and to succeed. Yeah, and lawn care,
community that you're a part of.
Yeah. And lawn care, it's seasonal. We're typically slow around Christmas. And that's one of the things that I never liked about John's previous job is, every year at the end of the year, it was nuts. I mean, he was so busy. It's like New Year's Eve, and it's, 9:00 at night. He's like, I'm still at work. And now we're slow, and it's just seasonal. So we know what to expect. We've got busy times like right now in the spring. And then, it'll lull off and we can take a breath and kind of reassess. And then it'll get really busy again. It's not all the time, every day busy. And I like that because I need some downtime sometimes.
It's a good work-life balance.
It is very much, yes.
Yeah. Well, that's all a great and amazing story. I mean, you talked about sort of missing being in Texas. I mean, do you have any big plans, business or personal wise, to try to get back over there or expand?
No, again, that's the finality about owning a business. It's like we're kind of stuck here unless we decide to sell it one day. And right now that's not in the foreseeable future. So who knows?
If anything, you being where you are, you allow your family to take a break from the Texas heat and to come and visit the great state of North Carolina and coast, right? You're like by, or you can get to it.
We're about 2.5 to 3 hours from the coast.
Still, it's closer than if they were driving from Texas.
And I have 2 identical twin nieces. We don't have any children, but they are in their, I think they're 27 now. They both work for the corporate office of Southwest Airlines in Dallas. And so they can fly for free. Their husbands, my sister, everybody flies for free except Amy. So, and they're like, you need to come down. I'm like, you need to come up. I have to pay.
Well, I want to just wrap it up and ask one question. It's a question that we ask on our survey as well. With everything that you've been through over the last 18 years, would you do it all over again, knowing what you know now, and why?
I would. Strangely, it's been really good for my marriage. And it's funny because people are like, most couples that work together, you're either going to be really successful at it, as a marriage team, or you're going to divorce. And my husband is 13 years older than me. So there was always this, he had more business experience than me. And so when we bought this together, we kind of went like this. And it's allowed us to get to know each other on a different level. So not only are we husband and wife, we're now business partners, we're now friends. And I don't know if that relationship would be what it is today had we stayed in Texas and I went to my job and he went to his job, because a lot happens at work and you're kind of a different person. We laugh and joke and the girls pick on John, and it's a different dynamic than when you're at home at the end of the day. So yeah, I would do it again in a minute.
Great. Oh no, that's awesome. And I'm happy to hear that. And I do appreciate all your time today. And I can't wait to be able to share this with everyone and people looking into joining franchising, but also possibly NaturaLawn. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.